Podcast City Network.
This is Final Score, your number one podcast for sports news. Here are your hosts, Chris and Craig.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Final Score, episode 95, because we are still in the countdown to episode 100, which will be coming at the beginning of next month, or sorry, not the beginning of next month, but the month after, because I forgot today's the last day of February. We still got to get through today, but still an action-packed show, but I can't do it without the man, the myth, the legend, JDM. How you doing today, bud?
What's going on, boys and girls? JDM, the host of Not a Hockey Market podcast, one of the many proud members of Podcast City Network. Thrilled to bring you from my humble abode in our little neck of the woods. I am in full dad mode right now. So the couch dad is definitely in full effect. I got one daughter over in somewhere for a dance competition, and so I got the other two Rugrats. So anything that you hear me yell at the kids is completely Couch Dad approved.
Yes, approved by the Couch Dads.
Yeah, it's approved by the Couch Dads coalition. Any curse words that are said through Final Score is also approved. So don't get on me about it. You know,
I mean, we let Craig do it all the time.
Yeah, we're in the home. I run a pirate ship, so. Everyone's in relative order, but I am excited, dude, because there's a lot of crazy news going on. I don't know about you.
Oh, yes. There's definitely so much going on that's happened in this past week that honestly have both been shocking, inspiring, and even downright what. So it's been one of those kind of weeks. So hopefully we're going to be able to get through all this without getting too crazy. And because it's a lot of stuff, man. But before we can even get to that, you got to make sure that you follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Go on there, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, and try and help us support this show. Because as you see above us, we are still making waves with our goals and getting closer little by little as we're trying to push for 1,500 on Facebook, 250 on Twitter, and of course we have our other platforms that you are more than welcome to go and support. But we can't do it without you guys. So please like, share, subscribe, invite your friends, the whole shebang-a-bang, and help us make Final Score something even more awesome. But we also have been making waves, like you said, on the Podcast City Network front as we now welcome the Nest Podcast. That's right. That's Nerd Entertainment Sports Talk. Now on Podcast City Network. You can find them on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and Apple Podcasts. So you can go to those platforms, go give them a like, subscribe, follow them, show them your support as the newest member of Podcast City Network. And of course, you can also find them on social media, on Facebook at /Nest Podcast 1, on Twitter at Nest Pod, and on Instagram at the Nest Podcast. So definitely go check them out, show them your support. And then of course, you can always find more about them at podcastcity.net /the Nest Podcast. So really happy to have them a part of the network and PCN Sports. And hey, man, we're going to have more people to talk sports with.
Oh, absolutely, man. Not only are we going to have more people to talk sports with, we're talking about movies. We can talk about anything that is super popular now, which is the nerd sphere, thanks to the damn Big Bang Theory, made it all popular and cool. Yeah. I wish I was around when that was, in high school, it was picked on for liking this kind of stuff. Now it's like, hey, check it out. We
earned our stripes.
Now it's popular. Get out of here.
Yeah.
I'd love to go and be a guest over on the Nest if they ever want me. So we're talking about that, constant collaboration with Podcast City Network and all the different programs. Hey, keep it down back there. All right, let's get it going.
See, I was so lucky. I got to ship mine off to the park, but that only lasts so long. So mine will probably end up joining us at some point near the end of the episode. So, it's all good. Hey, dad life, guys. You got kids. Exactly. This is what it's like. But we do have a lot to talk about today, including this insanity with Tiger Woods, who was involved in a single car crash and underwent emergency leg and ankle surgery. And what's horrible about this situation is that a lot of people, obviously, we want to start making jokes right off rip, because we remember what happened. What was it, back in 2008, back down here in Florida, where he ended up wrecking his car because of a lot of different reasons. We saw a whole nother side of Tiger, but that's not the case now. And this has been a really crazy situation. What are your thoughts on this?
Let me tell you, this situation is crazy. And yeah, it was so easy to just be like, well, a car. Again, with the car. First, it's, his wife beating the crap out of the car when he was pissed back in the day. But now, and obviously, the automatic assumptions that happen on social media and just through quote unquote, what do you want to call it? Citizen journalism or whatever the hell you want to call it. Listen, we do the same, but guess what? We're actually spitting the facts. We're not sitting here making kind of assumptions. Everyone going all crazy. Oh, it must have been drugs. It must have been alcohol. No, man, it was just an accident. It was just a car crash that was out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And these things do definitely happen. I feel for the guy. I feel like he had a bit of a resurgence with his career as of late. He was playing very good golf. He was being very competitive. Not as dominant as Tiger Woods usually can be, but he was still in the pack, right? He was still keeping up with the Jordan Spieths and the Johnsons and all that. But I'm listening to all this and I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, and it's absolutely crazy, man.
Don't take this guy away from the world, man. This guy is, after watching him and his son play, which went completely viral, watching those two play, I mean, he's doing such a great job. He's and just hearing this, I feel for his family, I feel for his friends, and I really, really hope that just at the end of it, he's okay.
Absolutely.
Because you're talking about open fractures to, what was his lower right leg. He had a rod placed in his tibia and screws and pins inserted in his foot. In 2 years, this man is going to win the Alex Smith Award. Because this was a horrific accident and surgery that could be very detrimental to his career. So not only did he get a comeback player before, I think, after everything beforehand, he's going to get two.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just hope he can. That's the only thing. I hope he can. We'll see.
Oh, same. And it's a crazy situation when you look at it. Because like I said, everybody obviously wanted to make jokes about it, but this was very serious. And it did happen out of nowhere. And like you said, the open fractures, his right leg, they had to place rods in his tibia, screws and pins, and foot and his ankle. Like, it was so much craziness. And he had to undergo further surgeries even when he ended up having to be moved to the new facility he's in now, had to do follow-up surgeries. It was just crazy to see how this has turned out. Now, authorities have already come out and said there was no alcohol or drugs involved and they are not filing charges. So there is no any kind of weird stuff surrounding this in any kind of way. But the good thing is Tiger Woods is in good spirits after the follow-up procedures that he had for his leg injuries. So at least there's that, and we know that he will eventually make a full recovery. And I even had it come through just a little bit ago. Let me pull it up here. Is that you see a lot of people right now on the PGA Tour for today's matchups that they are all wearing Tiger's iconic red shirt and black pants on the course as a tribute. So as you see, a lot of people showing their support, whether it be athletes or other type of celebrities and personalities that are just trying to rally around Tiger right now. And it's honestly pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it's definitely pretty awesome. I got like a weird screen on my head here. I'm not sure if what that is, but yeah.
Weird. I don't know what that was.
I don't know.
Gotta love technology.
Hopefully it's gone soon.
Yeah, we got it off. We're all good.
All right. So the real thing is everyone's been showing a tremendous amount of support for him. Hello to Mr. Douglas Gatrell, who's over in Tampa Bay watching us, saying that the car saved him. So kids, wear your damn seatbelts. Okay. So that is actually living proof right then and there. Wear your damn seatbelts, because that's what they're saying, is that the car saved him somehow.
Yeah, definitely. And you got to think about it, too. If he wasn't wearing his seatbelt, those crush injuries on his legs could become crush injuries in his pelvis, in his torso, even in his chest. We don't know. And that's the crazy part, because they had to use the jaws of life. That's another thing, too. They had to use the jaws of life to get him out. So this was very, very serious. It sustained a lot of damage. Vehicle was completely totaled.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just crazy. And obviously very lucky that Tiger made it through this the way he has. And the big question is, like you said, there might be like Alex Smith comeback players type of award. Honestly, with these kinds of injuries, I don't know if Tiger will ever play again. And that's something that is a very real possibility, that these injuries could be so severe that if things don't heal right, muscles don't act right, bones don't go where they need, you know what I mean? If he doesn't have a really good recovery process, which it's going to have to be like superiorly top notch for him to even have a shot, his playing days may be behind him, at least for now. Like maybe the Champions Tour at some point, but
maybe. And we got to also consider his age.
Yes.
Hell, I'm 36 years old, and you can hear me coming down the hallway with the way my knees and my hip and everything cracks. Like, I coming down the hallway, my wife will stop me midway. Hey, go get me some water, because she knows I'm already coming.
Exactly. Like, but that's the thing, too. He's 45.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He's
just 45 years old. I hope he does come back, because I would hate to see him go out like this. It's kind of like, I'm a golfer. I'm a big golf guy. I watch, I play. And so I hope he does come back, but it's going to be quite difficult.
Yes.
And luckily he's still alive, because based on those pictures, you thought this was it. When you saw those pictures online, you were like, holy crap, that's it. He's done.
Well, you know, probably he was yelling in that car after this. He was probably saying, oh, crap. Now people are going to think all kinds of things, but he probably was yelling,
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Trying to get through it,
That's
So,
right.
He's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. So, obviously, big round of applause that he made it through. And hopefully we get to see Tiger on the tour again and be able to win an awesome award like Alex Smith. But,
yeah,
hey,
that'd be great.
We'll see.
And you know what, kids? Seatbelts, they protect you and they save lives. So just remember that. And I have to also say, you know what else is good for some protection? Some neck gaiters.
That's right. There definitely is some good protection. What more can you tell us about that?
Let me tell you, at the PCN shop, whether it's a neck gaiter to protect you from COVID, or a coffee mug to protect you from the morning of chaos from the kids, or even just a t-shirt to look cool, PCN shop's got you covered. Get the latest apparel and gear for your favorite podcast and Podcast City Network by visiting podcastcity.net/shop and checking out our lineup. And if you want to be mentally protected, be sure to get the Boycott the CFP t-shirt. Why? Because it's good for your mental health to go out there and boycott the college football playoff, because you know what? It is absolute malarkey.
Ooh, malarkey. Ooh, that's a good one. It is malarkey. College football playoff and its ridiculousness. But hey, if you take a picture, maybe post it onto our social media, use that hashtag down with CFP.
Hashtag down with CFP, hashtag malarkey.
Hashtag malarkey. I like it. We might have to start including that now. But at this point, though, now that we've talked about the shop, we got to talk about the shop that you talk about most, and that is the NHL. And it's been a lot of craziness, man. With a 56-game season, we didn't think we'd be able to see this kind of excitement, but it feels like we've been seeing scoring crazes, Connor McDavid being Connor McDavid, and it's just been crazy, man. Where do you even want to start with this?
Dude, I don't even know where to start with this when we start talking about the NHL. But so far, I think we've gotten through that big hump where there was cancellation games after cancellation games and postponements, and now you're looking at the standings, and on average, every team has played about 20 games. So that is the sample size that we're currently looking at, right? Which is great. Now, with that in mind, there are some teams that have only played like 16 games. I think that's the least. So they still got about 4 games in hand, but on average, it's about 20.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of, an update on the standings real quick to give you. Of course, in the Canadian division, you do have the Toronto Maple Leafs are leading that division easily. I have to give credit where credit is due, because guess what? It looks like the Edmonton Oilers finally listened and they started playing some good hockey. And you know what they started doing? They actually started playing some defense.
Oh, man.
Goaltender Mike Smith came in and decided, I'm going to pitch a couple shutouts and show these, young kids how it's freaking done.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he did. So they're at the top of their, leaderboard as well. And when it comes down to it, the biggest surprise, oh no, you got it. Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning tied for their division lead. Washington, Boston, Islanders, Philly, Pittsburgh are all in the race in that East Division, just freaking disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know what the hell is going to happen there. The goal differentials between all those teams is like less than 5. You have some teams that have goal differentials of 13 plus, and in that division, the largest goal differential is 6. So, I mean, that is going to be one of those divisions that's decided by a shootout.
Oh,
or
my goodness.
Something kind of lame, and people are going to be pissed off. We got Tampa Bay Lightning is, still one of the heavy favorites. Everyone in quote unquote Tampa Bay, worst t-shirt since convicts versus Catholics. Still my opinion. They are the champions. Without Kucherov, are still, up there in the standings. I know you really like that. I know our boy Douglas really likes that because he's over in Tampa. Because why not? More parades. Mm-hmm. COVID doesn't exist in Florida.
Oh my goodness!
I'm on a roll today.
Say, you're on a roll today, man. You're charged. You're ready.
I'm ready to go. I have to say though, I want to get into this new segment I brought into you, and this is specific, not specifically, but this is definitely a shout out to our boy Jimmy LeBert, who loves it when I bring in a little bit of that Espanol, right?
Yes, he does.
So I want to do a sucio, dulce y malo, which means the dirty, the sweet, and the bad. Or the the sick, the sweet, and the bad. So highlighting first, absolute sucio right now is Kirill Kaprizov from the Minnesota Wild. He is a rookie with 17 points that leads the Minnesota Wild team overall. 6 goals, 11 assists. Dude, listen to this kid in Russia playing against grown-ass men. He put up, all right, 2 30-goal seasons, 153 points in 160 games.
Ooh, my God.
All right, in Russia, where, I mean, if you don't score, they kill you. Like,
pretty much.
I mean, pretty much.
And then if you win, you get killed with vodka, so,
Right, exactly. This kid is absolutely dirty right now. He is playing at another level, and him and the Minnesota Wild are at the top of their division. That is a huge surprise.
Huge.
And I'm gonna label Minnesota as quote unquote not a hockey market, even though it's Minnesota. You know why? Because they don't get the attention.
No,
everybody
really
thinks that's where Gordon Bombay lives, and that's it.
Oh my goodness.
If you're not from Minnesota, like you're not usually a fan. Like, and there are diehard fans up in Minnesota for the Wild for sure, and they remember the North Stars like the epitome of the NHL. But watching this kid play, he pulled off a wraparound goal over the weekend. You need to go check it out on the Not a Hockey Market Podcast YouTube page. From his knees, behind the net, and he still had the wrist strength to curl it around the entire net with a guy falling on top of him. Absolutely sucio.
Sucio.
Exactly. So, but what we're also going to talk about is the pure dulce, which is too sweet, and that is Austin Matthews. He leads the league with 18 goals in 22 games. In a short season, he's already got 18 goals. Could you imagine what his goals would be this year if we were playing an 82-game season?
Oh,
I mean, I would say he would challenge for one of the records from Teemu Selanne, for sure. What was 76 goals in a season? I mean, he could easily challenge for that record. But Because of COVID, unfortunately, we don't get that.
Stupid COVID.
Stupid COVID. Exactly. And I mean, at least it's a plus that he's playing in the Canadian division where defense does not exist.
This is true.
So, and I mean, if you want to just watch some highlights, just click on one of the Canadian games, man, and enjoy. I mean, just from last night, 6-3 Calgary, Ottawa, 9 goals in a game.
Oof.
I mean,
so I'm saying offensive explosion this year, it feels like.
Absolutely. Just a complete offensive explosion. And finally, El Malo, just the real bad and nasty, is the San Jose Sharks. All right, this team, guys. I'm sorry, I just got a great comment here, and I have to go back to it. That's right. If you don't score in Russia, you end up in WWE or AEW.
See, that's a good one.
Classic.
That's good.
That is great. That was great, Dougie. I love it, dude. Switching back over to El Malo, the San Jose Sharks. How much have we talked about the San Jose Sharks over the years? Where they were 6 straight something years in the Final Four or in the Stanley Cup Finals to a pure dumpster fire right now.
Pure. It's been
Brent
bad.
Burns, Erik Karlsson, 2 of the supposed best defensemen in the league offensively, are playing 30 minutes a game and can't even jump out the rush because of how bad their team is. They have to just stay back there the entire time and do nothing. Not to mention that Mr. Karlsson is also Mr. Glass. I mean, this dude, you blow on him and he falls down and he's got an ankle injury.
Just like that.
Just like that. I mean, he is absolute Mr. Glass right now. It is time to trade away Burns, Karlsson, Couture, Hurdle, and just start fresh with that roster. Not to mention their contracts are absolute garbage.
Also true.
So, I mean, I don't know about you, but even in the NFL or in the NBA, I doubt you're going to take a 7-year, $8 million contract now from a San Jose Shark.
No, and that's the thing. It's like you said, it's been like a runaway train, and I feel like maybe, just maybe, it might be time to just flip everything over and start anew, because I don't see it getting much better from here.
No, absolutely not. And this is kind of what happens a lot in the NHL, which is why they say know when to retool and know when to rebuild and what the difference is.
Mm-hmm.
You could either continue to sell out and continue to go for it, but then if you continue to fail in the playoffs and you go, wait a minute, all right, we're not there yet. We need to take a step back, maybe miss the playoffs for a year and retool so we can actually make a better push, or we just keep selling out. And then when you do that, if you do that, guess what? You're going to end up at the bottom of the barrel like Detroit is right now, like Pittsburgh's getting to, San Jose is now there. I mean, geez, dude, you got to find a way to just freaking rebuild for real.
Absolutely.
If you retool, you better retool the right way. And if you don't, you're going to be really, really stuck.
Absolutely. But until then, all I see is Sharks fans just sitting there and being like, because they know it's not getting any better anytime soon right now.
And pissed off because the LA Kings went out and got themselves some really good prospects that they missed out on.
Maybe that front office just needs to look at each other and say,
gentlemen, let's broaden our minds
and try and find a realistic way to try and fix this franchise. And turn it over, bro. Turn it over. Be all right.
Turn it over. Seattle's going to be a big help for them in the upcoming year. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that in mind, obviously we look at the dumpster fires, but we still have some teams that have been surging pretty strong, including my Flyers that have been actually making some waves. So with that in mind, who are some of the teams to beat going forward?
Well, still the teams to beat, you're looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, they lead the Canadian division. And big Jumbo Joe Thornton, he has found a way to have a little bit of a resurgence of a career, and he's calmed down these youngsters in Toronto. He really has helped them a long way. And you also have the Tampa Bay Lightning. No Kucherov, a bunch of different injuries, but Andrei Vasilevsky is playing Vezina Trophy caliber goaltending right now. He is playing out of his mind. and they are tied with our surprising Florida Panthers for that lead. And then, of course, I'm always going to throw them in there.
And it's just so crazy to even think.
We've been a dumpster fire for so long that when we're good, I am going to gloat the shit out of it.
Yeah, do it.
I do not care.
Oh, my goodness.
Your Flyers are in a battle for sure. I mean, when it comes down to it, whichever team comes out of that division of yours, they're going to be a tough out in the Final Four.
Oh, absolutely.
They're going to be a tough out. And if Toronto runs into one of them, thank you for coming, Toronto. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Because Toronto hasn't faced a brutal team like Washington, like Boston, like Philly, like the Islanders that just suffocate you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so that's for sure. The other team to still watch for, though, Colorado. All right? Third in their division right now. They went down a little bit, but that was when they had no Burakovsky, no Nathan McKinnon, no Landeskog, no Rantanen. These are top guys that they've had, and they're all coming back from injury. So they all had a little bit of a slump with a little bit of an injuries the last couple of weeks, but they still stayed steady. And now they come back and just demolished the Coyotes 6-2 last night. Mm-hmm. And they look like they're ready to go into a new gear.
Oh, yeah, and it's absolutely been amazing to see what they've been able to do. Colorado is one of those kind of, I feel, really under the radar teams that, everybody's trying to look at all these other big teams that you've always been seeing kind of win, and now it's like Colorado, who used to be a more of a powerhouse, say 20 years ago, now starting to come back around and really be something, and it's really awesome for their franchise too. But I'm telling you, when you look at that Eastern style division with the Flyers and Washington and Boston, that is one of the most tough-nosed divisions that if you're even able to somehow survive that division, you're probably going to end up being one of the early favorites to win the Stanley Cup. So it's, man, I'm loving hockey this year. It's
great. The format is fun, and you know what? It's fun for the fans. It's only going to be for this year, I'm sure, but they're looking at what's working. Mm-hmm. And I think they will keep some of the realignment stuff going forward because it's been kind of fun to watch.
It really has.
It's been fun for fans. And you know what? We're not an old fogey league, man. We like changing it up, whether it's a shootout, whether it's, crazy goals or, who knows what else.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw, we had so many freaking overtime games too going on. Like, we're always getting some extra hockey on top of it all as well. So even last night, I think just yesterday, there was like 4 or 5 overtime games, one or two shootouts. Like, it was crazy. Crazy.
Absolutely.
But
it's a good time for hockey, boys. It's
yes.
a good time for hockey. So be sure to check me out more this week on Not a Hockey Market Podcast, proud member of Podcast City Network.
That's
right. What do we got next going, Mr. Chris? Tell us.
Oh, we got to talk about the amazing content platforms that you can find FinalScore on, which include a myriad, because we're on so many now. It's just absolutely insane, including Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Player FM, Bullhorn, Castbox, and of course, you can find all of our video portions on YouTube. All you have to do is go on to any of these platforms and search keyword PCN FinalScore, one word, and give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe, and check out all the great content that we have. And of course, you can find all of this at our hub at podcastcity.net/FinalScore, and we literally have everything there, including our sports blog, all of our different platforms, all of our social media, and ways that you can contact the show, especially if you get that Boycott the CFP shirt, and be able to communicate with us directly. Definitely check it all out. A lot of great stuff. And hey, we have almost 100 episodes now worth of content. So there's definitely no shortage. Go check it out. And it's going to be awesome. But in our next... Oh, wait, where are we at here? I lost my whole self. Don't mind me. Let's go. But our next topic, we got to talk about the NFL. And it's been a little bit interesting so far in the offseason. Obviously, we talked last week, me and Craig did, about Carson Wentz now going to Indianapolis and what that could mean in the league. But now there's been more and more rumblings, and we're seeing two different situations that are kind of unfolding right now. First with Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson, let me say that 5 times fast, wanting supposedly out of Seattle. And what's mind-blowing about this is that he has literally been that franchise ever since he got drafted, and now won a Super Bowl, made 2 Super Bowl trips, and now possibly wants out. Now, there's a lot of media fervor going back and forth with this. There's a lot of information coming from a lot of random sources, some that claim to be close to Seattle, some that claim to be close to Russell Wilson, some that claim to be close to other franchises that are now making pushes possibly for Russell Wilson. So, man, we got to dig right in the top. So a lot of this came out about where Russell Wilson was actually complaining about how much he's getting hit, how much he's getting sacked, and the issues he's dealing with offensively in Seattle currently. Now, they do have still a good offense, but as you've seen over the past few years, they have not been able to get that longevity in the playoffs to be able to make it to where they need to go. And even this past season did not work out their way even at all for playoffs. So with that in mind, he tried to approach the coaching staff, tried to approach the front office. They didn't want to hear it and said that, listen, I love being in Seattle, but if there were going to be a trade considered, here's some teams I would like. But a lot of people took this and just ran. I mean, absolutely ran with it like Russell Wilson's disgruntled. He wants out of Seattle. All this. He's the next, Deshaun Watson. He's not happy. And I don't think that's quite that way. What do you think about it, JDM?
I think that this is a simple situation, guys. Let's not overkill it, because when I think of this, I think of one thing: trying to stick Jello to the wall. All right? There's no NFL. NFL is the number one sport in all of America, so therefore we better talk about it and cover it on all of our sports news outlets, no matter what. He has not wanted a trade. He is allowed, as the franchise quarterback and as the leader, to storm out of coaches' rooms, to be pissed off about being hit, to say, hey, you need to do something about our offensive line. Protect me, or I'm out of here. Yeah, he's allowed to do that. Does that mean he wants out? No. But he's kind of trying to push the coaching staff and the general management to say, hey, if you're not going to protect me, I got to think about my future. Mm-hmm. What is he saying that's wrong here?
Not anything. Not anything.
Nothing. He's not demanding a trade. Get off your high horse, you guys, thinking that if you keep saying that he's going to demand a trade, that you're going to be the ultimate insider. And therefore, you're going to be the one that gets the scoop. Look, here's the scoop for you, for all those major outlets. Russell Wilson will start for the Seattle Seahawks next season in week 1. That's your news break. Okay? It's similar to other situations with star athletes where they say, hey, I'm a little unhappy with certain things. And then when asked the question, he's going to be honest. Well, are you demanding a trade? No, I'm not. Well, here's the follow-up question that reporters love to give. Well, if you were to be traded, where you want to be traded to?
Mm-hmm. It's a setup question.
All right, it's a setup. And then, Wilson's probably like, all right, asshole. Here's where I want to be traded. Go have fun with a story that you're going to chase for the next 6 months and get you nowhere.
Mm-hmm. And that's something to keep in mind with this whole situation, because the biggest thing when you look at the situation is literally Russell Wilson holds all the cards, all of them, because he has a no trade clause that is in his contract that he would have to choose to waive to be able to even be traded. Now, looking at that list, though, just because it is an interesting list, we got the Dallas Cowboys, New Orleans Saints, Las Vegas Raiders, and the Chicago Bears. Now, those are all interesting destinations for Russell Wilson if something were to happen. But no matter what, all the cards are in his hand. However, that doesn't mean other teams aren't going to try and push and see what they can do to be able to make something happen, like, say, the New Orleans Saints, who still have a question mark at quarterback with Drew Brees maybe retiring, even though he was spotted this week working with sleds. So maybe he's readying for next season or trying to at least stay in shape. Who knows? But there's a lot of people in the New Orleans area and even in the New Orleans Saints franchise that are trying to make a push for this, saying, hey, if we lose Drew Brees, we really only have Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. So why not go get a guy who can come in and be able to be extremely successful with a great running back behind him, some weapons on the edges, a decent offensive line, and a decent offensive line and a defense that can get it done. Let me English today, and could actually find some success and maybe get New Orleans past some of their playoff woes. I mean, that's not unrealistic. So
Absolutely not unrealistic at all. And you know what? I'm thinking that maybe New Orleans should probably do, I don't know, trade for Deshaun Watson. There's an idea.
there's one.
Wait. It's like all of a sudden, it's like sleight of hand. It's like, here's Deshaun Watson. He really is unhappy. He really will sit out a season if told he's going back to Houston, right?
Yeah, it's beyond
Houston,
disgruntled.
yeah, and beyond disgruntled. And then so New Orleans goes, oh, so you mean we can trade for Russell Wilson? Wait, what? No, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, not Russell Wilson. Nobody said anything about Russell Wilson. Where'd you get that shit?
Yeah, right.
It's like it's almost like just, I don't know what it is, quarterback fatigue or quarterback shuffle fatigue. Maybe it's an election thing where they accidentally screw up the ballot and they put, we wanted Deshaun Watson, but then we got Russell Wilson. No, we meant to say Deshaun Watson. They're confusing the two names of the quarterbacks. I mean, That's just bad.
It is bad. But I mean, looking at the situation, it's just, it's bad all the way around when you're really thinking about it, especially when you're looking at now all this pressure on Russell Wilson. But you mentioned Deshaun Watson, who made it very, very clear this week that he has no intention of returning in any kind of way. Like you said, having a meeting with head coach David Culley to tell him flat out, I'm not playing for Houston ever again, and I'll sit out. And it's crazy to think that you can have a player this disgruntled in Houston who's being so stubborn and saying that we have no intention one way or another of trading Deshaun Watson, which is stupid, by the way, because they are obviously offloading and trying to rebuild. Because remember, this whole story is coming off the heels of J.J. Watt being mutually released. Also, we had DeAndre Hopkins get traded in March of last year. We had Will Fuller, who just walked in free agency. And then this week, they went ahead and cut Duke Johnson and their starting center for the past 4 years, Nick Martin. So what are they really trying to prove here?
What they're trying to prove, I think, is that Houston management is embarrassed.
Yeah.
They have been embarrassed between the fact that they let Bill O'Brien basically be their GM / head coach and run that team into the damn ground with the amount of horrible decisions that man made. And now they're getting so much bad press that they're almost firing back and saying, you know what? If a star, it's almost like an ego, big D complex right now. It's like all right, Watson's going to talk trash and say that he is never going to play for Houston ever again. Well, you know what? We're never going to trade you. You are stuck with us. It is such high school BS. Like something, you just grow up, make the move. You failed. Accept the failure and move on. Try to get better next year. Try to rebuild the right way. I mean, they're holding on to just freaking pull strings. It's not going to work.
No, it's definitely not. And another thing you mentioned is that they can't keep him tied up because Watson did sign that 4-year, $160 million extension in September of last year. So he's pretty much locked into that no matter what he wants to do, unless there's some type of crazy outside force, a deal that comes along that the Texans can't refuse, something. But what I think might happen though is I think Texans are just trying to hold their cards right now until they can find something that makes sense for them, because you don't unload all this talent, cut all these people, unless you're trying to go for a full rebuild. And if Watson's not a part of that, you got to think about your own quarterback future, because who's going to start under center next year? Who's even Deshaun Watson's backup? Does anybody know? And that's my point. It's going to be somebody who's no name, which is not going to work for Houston to be able to try and find any kind of lasting success. So they got to try and find their quarterback of the future. And another thing you got to look at this, especially now in the age where players are starting to try and get more pull and power in their contracts and what they say. Because remember, a lot of this came from the fact that Watson felt disrespected that he was not included in the head coaching and in the GM search that Houston recently underwent, was not included whatsoever. That's your franchise quarterback. You put a $160 million price tag on him. I would want to listen to what the guy has to say, especially if you're going to throw that kind of money at him. And even if you listen to it or not, give him that time. That's the point. You got to listen to your players, because guess what? They're the ones making all the money.
Yep.
and they're making
That's what
you
it comes
all the
down
money.
to. 100%, man, 100%. And not just that, Watson is no, scrub, all right? He led the league in passing yards this past season.
Mm-hmm.
He's not exactly an overpaid quarterback.
No, he's definitely not.
He's definitely not an overpaid quarterback. He is your franchise quarterback, and you have, treated him. He is a main eventer, and you're treating him like a mid card by giving him the damn U.S. title or some crap.
Oh, that's a great analogy. I gotta give you a little ovation. That's a good analogy.
Right? Yes. He's the Daniel Bryant understory that when he finally goes to a good team, I want that guy to go all the way and win a Super Bowl.
And that's another thing too, is that the guy's no slouch. It's not like this guy's like, oh, he's a mediocre quarterback. No, this guy is a good quarterback. But here we are. Exactly. But here we are. And it really comes down to that, I don't know what he's going to do, or if he gets traded, or if he sits out. I'm going to go and do what we do best on Final Score, and that's give out a bold prediction. Oh, snap.
Deshaun Watson sits out the year. He does not get traded, and he ends up sitting out the year. That's what I'm calling.
Oof. Man, I mean, I could see that happening. I could see him end up being in another Le'Veon Bell situation where he sits out the year, and then the next offseason they try to cut him because of non-committal to the team or whatever kind of bylaw or contractual loophole they can use. Because the only other thing I could see happening is that, short of a NFL league office intervention, there's nothing that's going to happen except him sitting on his ass, waiting to hopefully get traded. And I would like to think it would come, especially maybe by week 8, if Houston is, sitting there at 1-7 or 0-8 and like, what, let's just try and get something for the next draft and make some capital. I could see that. But realistically, I think it's going to go the route you're saying, where he's going to end up sitting out all season and he's not getting moved until the off season. So
exactly. He's going to force their hand like that. Mm-hmm. He's going to force their hand like that, and you already saw Houston management just kind of dig in their damn heels because, they've been embarrassed. So I think he sits out the year. It's not a proud moment for the Houston organization. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. That is for sure, but because right now...
What is a proud moment?
What is a proud moment?
I get to be a dad, and I'm going to put this Lego together because it came off the damn arm because, I'm a proud dad member of the community. All right, that's fixed. Here you go, buddy. Yep. All right. And also, I am also a proud member of Podcast City Network. And Final Score is one of those proud members. Podcast City Network has over 21 independent podcasts, members across all genres of podcasting. Find PCN on all of your major social media platforms. Go to facebook.com/Podcast City Network, Twitter @Podcast City Net. Also, get on your Google machine and YouTube search keyword Podcast City Network. Mm-hmm. And be sure to be creative, be independent, be yourself. Podcast City Network.
That's right. Final Score is definitely a proud member. And when we started this podcast, we had to actually do the good old D&D roll, man, and we ended up creating the greatest podcast of all time, according to Meme God Jimmy, as you see in this meme right here. Right. So hey, we had to squeeze some of these memes in here, telling you what. But no, it's so great what we try to do. We try to bring everything that we can when it comes to the sports world, and we love Meme God Jimmy for always making these great memes for us. But you know what else is great? Spring training, baby, and it starts today. We have our exhibition games kicking off today, and there's a whole entire slew of 28 teams going to be playing 14 games starting today. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. But with spring training means we are now in the countdown to what will be opening day for Major League Baseball. And with how everything has been working out, obviously with COVID, there's been a lot of changes to everything, schedules, length of schedules, everything. So opening day will not be until April 1st, which will end up kicking off with the Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees at 1:05 p.m. ESPN, and the Cleveland Indians at the Detroit Tigers at 1:10 p.m., both on April 1st. But we do have some games that are happening today, and I tell you what, I'm pretty excited. We actually do have Craig is supposed to be, hopefully, I know he's been bogged down with children this week because of all kinds of craziness, but I know he's trying to make it out to the Detroit Tigers game today. Hopefully he actually gets out to see it because they're going to be taking on the Philadelphia Phillies at 1:05 p.m., so Definitely going to be interesting. Any games that you're looking forward to today?
None in particular for me. I'm not much of a spring training guy. I think of spring training as, major league, and I'm wondering when Willie Mays Hayes is going to show up and when Rick Vaughn's going to show up and that kind of stuff. But I will have to say I love complaining about baseball, and it's probably because I'm a secret baseball fan. It's like entrenched in your Cuban DNA. Because I'm sitting here watching this season going, great, I cannot wait for this to happen again. You always have your top teams. You always have your New York Yankees and your Boston Red Sox, which, go Sox.
Go Sox.
Or you have your Cubs or, St. Louis Cardinals. You got your top teams. And every so often, a team comes out of nowhere. They find that gem of a prospect or a couple prospects, and they just explode like the Houston Astros did. I was a huge fan of the Houston Astros. Cheating and all, don't care. Don't care. Sorry, I'm going to call it right now. Baseball has been cheating since its inception. All right? It's a part of the game. Pete Rose, cheating. All right? Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, cheating. The White Sox, way back in the day, what'd they do? Oh, I don't know. They cheated.
This is true.
No African-American players, no Hispanic players allowed in the MLB. What do you think they were doing? They were cheating. Not allowing for these guys to come in and play. Come on. That was all cheating. Baseball and cheating go synonymous in hand, in my opinion. So I don't care if the Houston, if you want to get all pissed off at me with liking the Houston Astros going all the way and banging on trash cans. Bang on trash cans. I don't care.
Well,
let's go.
At least our Red Sox got Alex Cora back after all that, right?
At least, I don't care if they got Alex Cora back or not. But come on, it's one of those things that I just enjoy, that kind of concept, the politics of baseball. Let it happen, man. Let it go. And the next team that I'm looking forward to watching is the San Diego Padres.
Ooh, okay.
I like what the San Diego Padres have done. They went out and got Yu Darvish. They went out and got Blake Snell. And they have one hell of a team with Fernando Tatis Jr. and that massive contract that he signed. So they found that gem. They found that gem that they needed. As long as they maybe stay away from trash cans and, try not to cheat, just find out what is allowed
try and keep
this
it clean.
year. Yeah. Find out what's allowed this year that's questionable, that can take you all the way. And I think the San Diego Padres are going to be a team to watch.
Definitely. I could see that. San Diego Padres made a lot of great offseason moves, like you said. So could be something that works out very well for them. But is there anybody else that we're looking at?
I got to say, I'm enjoying the addition of Mr. Springer to the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yes.
Springer and Vlad with a very, very hungry core group of players over in Toronto. And you know what they also have on their side? COVID protocols. They are playing in the state that COVID doesn't exist. They have shipped down from Toronto to Florida. All right? Which is just a genius move. Absolutely. They're in the state where it doesn't matter. It doesn't exist. They get to play some baseball. And they're not going to be playing for their home team. They're not going to be playing for their home Toronto fans. So they have that adversity going. Like, all right, MLB, you're going to send us all the way to Florida. Fine. We're going to go and win the whole damn World Series. We're going to have another boat parade in Tampa Bay. And we're going to continue to just dominate and just, shut you old school baseball thinking guys up. Well, we're just going to do it our way.
At least it should work out better than the transition of the Raptors to Tampa Bay. So, hopefully it'll work out for them that way.
It could. It could definitely work out a little bit better. But, let the politics fly. Let it go. For Toronto is going to be cheating one way or another by coming down to Florida. Somebody's going to say, oh, they have a better advantage because of the air.
We got good air here.
Yeah. We got good air. It's that swamp-ass air.
Yeah, that nice wet swamp ass air. Ugh. Just makes you want to go. Because it's about that quality. So
it is what quality. It is. And I can't wait for George Springer to come out and just start screaming at the top of his lungs. Who do you think you are? I am.
Oh my gosh. Of course he would. But you know what? You know who I don't think anybody's going to complain about is the great services and the great things that Podcast City Network can bring to new and rising podcasts all over, because they offer an array of membership services, including logo design and branding, social media advertising, live podcast hosting, and so much more. And on top of that, you gain access to a network of shows that help with cross promotion, guests, and overall reach while becoming a part of an ever expanding PCN community based on people helping people. And as you've seen, we're adding new shows all the time. So the best part is too, no membership fee. So what are you waiting for? Go to podcastcity.net/join now and join the fastest growing independent podcast network around, Podcast City Network, which if we're talking about joining the network, that means it's now time for the good old give or go. And there's definitely some good ones this week, and some that honestly make your head, I don't know, kind of hurt probably. Like this first one with Notre Dame saying they won't participate in the new EA Sports college football game until NIL rules are finalized. Give or go?
I am going to give this to you because you, sir, must be going through an internal struggle right now.
Oh, sir.
Your favorite video game is coming back, and Notre Dame, which is one of your pride and joys, has said no. So talk to me, man. This is now it. This is your therapy session.
Oh, when everything started to go, yes, because I'm definitely going to need this. This hurt me bad because you know what my love for NCAA college football video games are. I keep a copy of 13 and 14 on the shelf at all times for anybody who wants to get it, because I can count on one hand how many human players have beaten me in 10 years. I am that serious about NCAA college football, guys. So when I found out the game was going to come out, I was just like over the moon and so ready. And then when Notre Dame came out and said this, it was because there was no discernible reason outside of NIL rules that I could see that they would do this. But my internal struggle is I wanted to be able to play as my beautiful Golden Domers in this game. But in my opinion, the NIL rules are more important and should be looked at more hard. Honestly, if it wasn't for COVID, we probably would already have these laws passed by now, because if a lot of people remember and you watch some of our past episodes from last summer, we had already talked about how Congress and the NCAA and some of these university chancellors and presidents were trying to craft the basic bone structure for what these rules would be, hoping to have these done and passed by the end of the year. Obviously, that didn't work out that way. COVID had its own mission, and we have now been waiting because now we've had to deal with coronavirus bills and all these relief bills, and obviously an election as well. So it got sidelined, and it's supposed to be picked back up this year once they can get through the third round of relief and through tax season. Excuse me, and also through a lot of the vaccinations. Once we can get past a lot of that, hopefully this will be readdressed. But for Notre Dame to come out and say that they will flat out not be a part of it, that sends waves in college football, because I will guarantee you they will not be they are the first, but they will not be the last team that are going to take this stance. And I also think it's part of the reason why EA did not officially announce when that game is actually coming out. I've already seen people saying, oh, well, if Notre Dame doesn't want to be in NCAA 2021, then, well, screw them. There is no NCAA 2021, people. There is no official date for when it's coming out. You can tell I'm getting riled up about this. There is no official date for this. So I'm very torn, yes, but I feel that these NIL rules do need to be dealt with. This needs to be finalized. We need to go ahead and get this done so we can move forward in college athletics. So, I mean,
that you absolutely made 110% good points, because when it comes down to these NIL rules need to be addressed, and Notre Dame is doing what they need to do. They are taking the lead and saying, not so fast. Not so fast. These need to be finalized. Because we cannot screw this up. That's what it comes down to. You guys cannot screw this up and put some underhanded BS where, our players that we are trying to get paid for their likeness when it comes down to this actually end up getting screwed in the end. Mm-hmm. This has been decades of a battle. All right. I mean, geez, Arian Foster from back in the day was battling this with Texas. I mean, and that dude doesn't even play in the league anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a battle for decades. So they know, and I think Notre Dame's doing the right thing, stepping up and saying, hold your horses. You're not going to make a quick buck off of us for the first couple years where you end up making the money and our guys don't. It's going to be fair from the get-go. So, and you know what? Shame on EA for maybe even announcing too soon. I think they got, a little bit of premature blank, with announcing it.
I have to agree.
How do you going to announce this knowing that you have a cult following and it's going to make some waves and not have some rules finalized?
Mm-hmm. That's a very, very good point.
So EA, hey man, check your pants because I think you got an oyster in there that came a little bit too soon.
Absolutely, man. I have to agree, and it's crazy because a lot of people credit Notre Dame for saving the 2020 season, and now I'm sure more than enough are going to try and blame them for EA not coming out as soon as it will. But at the end of the day, people, these are real issues that you have to look at. COVID is a real thing. People caught it, including me, and it happens. And guess what? These kids need to get paid. So Notre Dame taking the stance, guess what? This is bringing up the issues, people. We can't just sit back and tell everybody to shut up and play ball. That's not how the world works. So, as them
sitting back is kind of reminding everybody, hey, don't forget why we're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Don't forget why we're doing this. We are sitting back because college athletes deserve a little bit of compensation for their likeness if we are going to make billions of dollars off of this damn game.
Absolutely. And that's something that you have to kind of keep in mind with this. And a lot of people don't because everybody ends up just being part of that whole, let's just crap all over it kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it ends up being just so much, so ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We got to move on. We're just going to keep on this all day.
I know you're going to keep on this, but how do we feel, Chris? We feeling better? Our therapy session is good?
I'm feeling a little better. I think I have a little bit more closure, I'm not quite back to... But at least, I know that things are going to happen the way they should. And that's what's important.
We will definitely get there. We will definitely get there for you. And on our next Give or Go, a little bit of NHL because you do have your resident NHL guy here with you. I know. And Vladimir Tarasenko, star forward for the St. Louis Blues, to return to the NHL before the end of the road trip on March 8th after 3 shoulder surgeries, man. 3 different shoulder surgeries. He hasn't played since October 24th of 2019.
Oof.
I mean, now, my question to you, and I put this out there just in terms of athletes in general, should he even return? Or is this one of those situations, I'm going to be so worried about the guy in terms of getting hurt again.
Yeah, that, and you see how much contact hockey players make in the shoulder and upper body regions all the time. So that is a very, very valid and a very legitimate concern. I think this is, you don't want to tell a guy, no, man, you can't, before even letting him get on the ice. But at the same token, how far do you let something like this go before it's like, hey, man, maybe it's time to just take a step away for a little bit longer, or maybe just all together because, 3 shoulder surgeries and you haven't played in a year and a half. That's very worrisome for me. So I don't know, man. I don't want to tell the guy no, but do you want to go tell Tarasenko that he can't go play?
I definitely don't want to tell Tarasenko that he can't go play, considering I have a Tarasenko hat and he is one of he's a great personality in the NHL. He's got a lot of fire. He brings a lot to the game. Very David Pastrnak with the funky, sunglasses that you might see around. Jimmy, if you're listening, please do a pasta meme for us with those crazy Oakleys from Lake Tahoe. He's great personality and he's a great player, a great leader for the St. Louis Blues. And I would love to see him come back, man.
Oh, sure.
I do. I really think that he just needs to grin and bear it and get out there, take a few hits, and trust his shoulder. That's what it comes down to. If he can find a way to trust it, then he'll be fine. Because then he won't make that like awkward move or that awkward dip that can re-hurt it, right? Just go out there and play some puck. It's a little wide open right now this season, so that kind of helps, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Blues and Sharks went 7-6 last night.
Oh, man. All this scoring.
Freaking 7-6 game. So why not, man? It's getting to be a little bit of a more fun league in that sense. So I think the timing is right now. I just feel for the guy having to deal with all those injuries.
Oh, absolutely.
But glad to see him back. So we'll see. Hopefully he stays through the season.
Absolutely.
Next, give or go. What do we got, Chris?
Oh, man, this is going to be a crazy one because I don't know if you saw this one go down yesterday. But Southern Illinois, and I'm sorry, I'm probably going to butcher this because I do it regularly. The Salukas upset the North Dakota State Bison 38-14 to end their 39-game winning streak, which was the longest in FCS history. Give or go.
Well, for starters, shocking news right now that there was actually a 39-game winning streak even up in question. I mean, holy crap. Are you kidding me? I mean, Carson Wentz must be thrilled.
Oh, he probably was, especially, looking at after the Bison being 16.5-point favorites going into this game. It's absolutely crazy that they even lost because keep in mind, they have not lost a game since November 4th of 2017. 4 years. And on top of that, it was to a top 10 South Dakota State team at the time. So, it's been that long since we've seen them. Almost 4 years we're looking at here. Totally crazy.
You're telling me that this team wasn't even considered for the playoff?
Well, you got to remember, the FCS decided to pause their entire season until spring. So this is we're in week 5 of the FCS season right now. A lot of people don't even realize. I had somebody ask me yesterday, there's college football right now? And I'm like, yeah man. Yeah. And he's like, oh, it's not like, something else. I'm like, no, college football. Oh, okay. Well, I guess I can go check that out. I'm like, yeah, go check it out, man. Go watch some football because there's nothing else right now unless you want to watch baseball or hockey. So this is what you get. And it's crazy because the North Dakota State quarterback is a huge prospect right now it's suspected to enter the NFL draft. So it's so crazy now to see that his last game is them getting not only beaten, but honestly stomped.
Spanked.
Yeah, man.
Spanked. A little bit of a spanking there. Let me tell you that it just attributes to the craziness of this year.
Yeah.
Some spring ball, and we're like not talking basketball. We're talking football.
Yeah, we're talking football. That's right. And
I definitely say because of the craziness of coronavirus and COVID and everything else, just another damn crazy story. Just
well, it looks like we had a little freeze here from George. George froze up a little bit. I don't know what happened to you there, bud.
Sorry about that. I feel like I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're good now.
Okay. All right. We're good to go. Let's give or go on this next one. Jeremy Lin says he's not naming or shaming anyone in the wake of a claim that he was called coronavirus on the court.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, we're going to...
Give or go.
We're gonna give on a little bit. This one is kind of a crazy situation as part of obviously the coronavirus. It was the novel coronavirus that did come out of Wuhan, China. So there has been some type of racial charged issues apparently that have been happening in the G League on the court, saying that he was being called coronavirus. Said he's not really trying to down anybody though, but it's more he just wants to bring awareness because the NBA has launched an investigation into this at this point. Excuse me, and is trying to find some kind of answers to who and why. But Jeremy's saying, no, man, I want awareness because, we live in a time where we're trying to push for equality. Obviously, we've seen what happened throughout 2020, that the Asian community is also being targeted because of coronavirus. So, I mean, it's very shameful that something like that even would happen, that someone as a professional athlete would be so childish and petty. But, I mean, you can't control how everybody thinks. So
no, you can't control how everybody thinks, unfortunately. And Something to kind of point out, the NBA has done a phenomenal job when it comes to the BML movement and recognizing, agree, disagree. I'm not even going to get into politics. I don't know how we can disagree on equal rights, but we're going to move past that. When it comes down to that, they put out a lot of promotion when it comes to it, right? On the court, the logo, and all this kind of stuff. You do have a league that is 90% African American. So, I mean, makes sense. I mean, kind of makes sense. I know. And so for this to also be there and the NBA not jump in and do an investigation and really, it's like you can't pick one cause and ignore the other, right? You got to show equal rights for all races.
That's right.
So that's what I'm thinking when it comes down to, and I think that's what Jeremy Lin is trying to come to the forefront is, hey, this is also happening. The same way that there were noticeable and common language that was slang and disrespectful to the LGBTQ community. I mean, hell, we were all kids, and we all would do it when we were playing ball, and we all said it, and because we didn't know any better. Now that we know better, pick a different word that you could, insult your guy, your competitor with. There's plenty of words out there, guys.
Absolutely.
Use that vocabulary, all right?
Absolutely.
There's plenty of different words that you can choose from where you can, knock on somebody for their play or whatever. That is not a racist remark.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And, hopefully they find some kind of closure to the situation and are able to kind of better move forward, because the NBA has really been the spearhead when it comes to these types of movements, and being obviously with BLM and everything that we've been dealing with over this past year. So I have a feeling the NBA will be able to get this figured out pretty quickly and be able to hopefully move forward with everything. But a quick shout out to Ulysses. Thank you for joining us for the show, bud. Really appreciate you. As well as Douglas. Thank you for joining us as well. We always love seeing us. Obviously, we're missing Jimmy today. I'm sure he's probably working, knowing him, or maybe he had a rough night last night. I don't know, but we'll see. But we still got one more give or go topic, and I know I'm going to butcher this name, but I really don't care just because of why he called out LeBron James. But LA Lakers LeBron James says that Zlatan says to him, "No way I'll ever stick to sports," after the AC Milan star criticized LeBron's public political activism. Give or go.
I'm kind of, Zlatan is a big name when it comes to this sport. And everybody in my group down here in Miami, God, man, they love talking soccer. Any chance they get. And I'm just like, can you guys pick a sport, that hits somebody, please? Can we talk hockey?
Just a little.
Just a little bit better. I'm going to give a little bit on this because this is just does not make sense to me. Of course, LeBron James is going to dismiss these, this criticism because it's like, wait a minute, who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Although he is probably one of the biggest stars in the worldwide, which is crazy to me that you guys just can't come together. Like, what an opportunity worldwide to just say, yeah, we disagree, but, I can see where you're coming from, and I can see where you're coming from.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Oh, there's a concept. But, it's another soccer player maybe just trying to say something crazy, or another athlete trying to disrespect another player for being outspoken.
And with Zlatan, too, you're looking at it, he told him basically to shut up, bro. Like, play your sport, mind your business. You're not in politics. But, I guess it probably is easy for someone on an international stage who doesn't have to deal with the kind of issues that we have here in America quite as bad. So I think LeBron James is the wrong tree to bark up, because even though Zlatan had his own upbringing, LeBron James came from the mean streets, man. And that guy has seen things that someone like Zlatan might not have ever even imagined, because of how rough living can be for African Americans here in America. So honestly, I applaud LeBron for, sticking to his guns and standing his ground in this, because, like we said with the Jeremy Lin story, change still has to happen. We are still pushing forward, and these issues are still going to arise. So you can't just ignore it or act like it doesn't exist just because you make a bunch of money and you have a platform. You know what I mean? You have that power to use it.
Now, he chooses not to speak on it that's fine. That's his choice. That's for Zlatan. But you know what? I don't hear him complaining or saying that it was a mistake for Steve Kerr to be outspoken. I don't hear him saying anything for, Luka, what's his name? Yeah, come on. He's one of my favorite players. What's wrong with me? I can't English.
You should know this one.
I should know this one. He doesn't say anything to Luka from the Dallas Mavs, who comes from Europe and has dealt with certain situations in Europe that is not exactly kosher, so to speak. He comes from a community over there that also has its own issues.
Exactly. Luka Doncic comes from Slovenia.
There you go. Exactly. They're not exactly, doing phenomenal when it comes to the world stage. I don't see him criticizing that guy. I don't see him criticizing Vlade Divac from where he comes from basketball-wise.
There you go. And that's what I'm saying.
But then he's got something to say about LeBron James. I mean, I'll let you guys put the pieces together. I don't think I have to spell it out more than I just did right there.
Very, very, very good point. And even on that note, we'll call that give or go because at the end of the day, we know that LeBron's not going to be quiet. So don't even bother. So nice try, Zlatan. Nice try. But if we just got done with give or go, man, that means we got to talk about that really great ranking system, the one that's not Apple. What's that about?
That is PodChaser. Oh, man, PodChaser is the LeBron James when it comes to your daily source for podcast discovery. They will not shut up about it, and they will continue to talk on it. Apple Podcasts is no longer the only credible place to rate and review podcasts. Follow creators, browse every podcast ever, and rate and review episodes. Just go to podchaser.com and search keyword FinalScore. Follow, rate, and review us.
Absolutely. That's right. Transition Kings over here. Tell you what, the 1-2 punch, which takes us right into the week ahead. And man, there is so much stuff that's going to be going on this week. It's absolutely wild what we got going on. And right off the bit, obviously, new episodes of Not a Hockey Market podcast.
That's right. You got a new episode coming up this week. Hopefully going to have some fun guests on the show. We got Blade Shades. We got Miami Roller Hockey League. We got all kinds of things going on for Not a Hockey Market podcast. Definitely tune in on the YouTube channel. Go ahead and search keyword 90 Miles Media and also Podcast City Network. Be sure to follow those YouTube channels, like and subscribe so you can check them out. Also, in the week ahead, The Nest podcast. One of our brand new podcast members, proud member of the Podcast City Network. Definitely got to check them out. And of course, who else is coming?
The Rip Griffin Show. Definitely got to make sure to check them out for the latest in baseball. Now with spring training kicking off, they are going to be in full swing. So make sure to check out the Rip Griffin Show with Brad Chandler. Absolutely amazing show. And we also have some absolutely astronomically huge announcements that's going to be coming this upcoming week from Double Dime and the Fixed Edge Group. Just had a meeting with S Money yesterday, so a lot of things are in the works, and I tell you what, it's going to be absolutely immense, and FinalScore will be part of it to an extent, and that's all I can give you right now. So we'll definitely have more on that this upcoming week, as well as the march to episode 100, because we will be having episode 96 next Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern on Facebook Live, where we're also finally going to be pulling in some of the NCAA men's basketball conference tournaments, coverage and recaps as we get prepped for Selection Sunday and the March Madness tournament. And I tell you what, man, I am pumped for that.
It's going to be absolutely insane. Already thinking, hey, you thinking of a good bet for March Madness?
There's going to be a few of them.
Gonzaga. Texas and Gonzaga. Those are my early bets. If you're going to put any kind of money down, send that over to Double Dime. Let me see what he says.
Absolutely.
And also feel free, the Rip Griffin Show, check out my rant. Baseball and cheating go hand in hand. That's just all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. But you know what? We're always doing some stuff great here at FinalScore. We're always trying to come up with new stuff. It's almost like speed dating. Like if you're sitting down and we start talking FinalScore, you don't know who we're talking about? Next, we got to keep it going, man. And that's what we do here. We got to keep it going because there's great sports news that we present in the best fashion because we don't try to be all the crazy, stupid stuff. No, bro, we're here to talk sports, and that's what's important. So at the end of the day, you can only do that with Final Score. So definitely make sure to follow us on social media at PCN Final Score on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us that subscribe. That way you don't miss out because we got bomb memes, crazy videos, lots of crazy sports moments, and a lot of reactions, and of course, all the great content that we offer. But man, that means we're at the end of the episode, man.
Oh no, it's a sad day.
It's
a sad time. But you know what? I want to thank all the Final Score fans for joining us. Ulysses, Dougie, Jimmy, to all the guys that have joined in, and a big thank you to Podcast City Network for including me as a Final Score contributor and as the Not a Hockey Market podcast show.
Absolutely,
so I am
man.
thrilled to be here, man. I don't know about you, but there's plenty of baseball going on, and there's plenty of beer to be drunk in the fridge.
That's right. We got games
Sunday.
kicking off at 1:05 p.m. So definitely make sure to go check them out. I know I can't wait. The Red Sox are taking on the Twins. So it should be a pretty nice day of baseball. More games at 4 o'clock as well as night. I think a couple evening games as well. So check them out. 28 teams, 14 games today. Check it out. Going to be great. But until next time, I'm Chris. That's JDM. And you guys have just watched Final Score. Y'all have a great night.
Podcast City Network.